Okay, so expanding brackets. So if they say expand and simplify, expand means to get rid of the brackets. If you see the word factorize, then it means put it in brackets. Okay, simplify just means to tidy it up. So when you do this, I urge you to use lines so that you know that you're multiplying out everything. Okay, so it's everything in this bracket has to multiply everything in this bracket. Okay, so first, x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. So we've multiplied everything in that bracket by x. So now we have to multiply everything by 5. So 5 times x is 5x, and then 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so you will always get 4 numbers, and it's always reduced to 3. We get what we call a trinomial. Tri as in 3, nomial as in numbers, so 3 numbers. And it's these two that can be combined. Okay, so the x squared still stays x squared. Now if I add 4x to 5x, I get 9x, and then plus 20. Okay, and that gives me my quadratic equation. Okay, so if we do the next one, so x times x, x squared, x times 2 plus 2x, 3 times x plus 3x, 3 times 2 plus 6. So we can simplify. So x squared, 2x plus 3x is plus 5x, and we have the plus 6 at the end. Okay, so it is quite simple, and if you draw the lines then you know you've not missed anything. And if the equations are all positive, that's fantastic, because we don't have to mess around with signs at all. So if we do the next one, so we have x times x is x squared. Now we've got x times minus 6. So this x is a plus. Okay, there's no sign in front of it, so it's automatically a plus. So we've got plus x times minus 6. So a plus times a minus gives us a minus, and x times 6 will give us 6x. So the arithmetic is still the same, it's just whether it's plus or minus. Now we have 4 times x, which is just plus 4x. And then we have plus 4 times minus 6. So a plus and a minus is minus, and 4 times 6 is 24. So again we can just simplify this, so we have x squared. Now this bit, think in terms of money. You're £6 overdrawn, you add £4 to your account. So then you will still be minus £2. So that will be minus 2x, and then the minus 2 we just add to the bottom. Okay, So this one, x times x squared, x times minus 7. So we've got a plus times a minus is a minus, and 7 times x is 7x. Then minus 5 times x, so again a minus times a plus is a minus, and 5 times x is 5x. And then minus 5 times minus 7. So remember the rule, same signs always give you positive, different signs always give you negative. So minus times minus, same signs, so that gives us a positive, and 5 sevens are 35. Okay, so we can simplify this. So we have x squared, again think bank account, you're £7 overdrawn, you draw out another £5, you're now at minus 12. And then you just add 35. Okay, I'm hoping that you are starting to get this now. Now if we have x's that are bigger than 1, so like we've got a 3x and a 2x, we don't care. We don't care. If I've got 3x times 2x, well 3 times 2 is 6, and x times x is x squared. So we get 6x squared. Now we have 3x times minus 5. So a plus times a minus is a minus. 3x times 5 is 15x. Now 2 times 2x, they're both pluses, so that's plus 4x. And then plus 2 times minus 5. So a plus and a minus is a minus, and 2 5s are 10. Okay, so we just tidy this up, so we have 6x squared. Now with £15 overdrawn, we put £4 in the account, so now we're only £11 overdrawn, and then we tag on the minus 10. So this is where the signs kick in. Okay, this is why we did it right at the very beginning of the course. Okay, same signs always positive, different signs always negative. If you draw these lines, it will help you make sure that you multiply everything by everything. Okay, the only way to do this is practice. Just keep doing it over and over again. Okay, so now we look at factorising and solving. So I'll just pause for a second. Okay, so here we have quadratics, and all quadratics equal 0, and they'll say factorise and solve. Well, on these they will say factorise and solve. So if they say factorise, this means that you're going to put the equations into 2 brackets. Okay, it's not as difficult as you may think. So we know that it's going to be 2 brackets. Now because we've got x squared, we know that must be x and x, because x times x gives us x squared. So you can see we're halfway there now. Okay, now to find numbers in the bracket, what we do is we look at the final number and we say, okay, what times what will give us 15? Okay. Now that what times what, if we add them, will give us this middle number, 8. Okay. So 15. So if we said, okay, well 5 times 3 gives me 15. I know that 5 plus 3 gives me 8. So 5 and 3 must be the numbers that go in the bracket. So it doesn't matter which way round you write them, so we can write x plus 5 and x plus 3. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you write x plus 3 and x plus 5 or x plus 5 and x plus 3 because of the commutative law. Okay, so that's factorised that equation. Now to solve it is really easy. We've got two brackets, so we will have two x values. All we do is we take the number and we change the sign. So on this occasion it's a plus, so we make this a minus. Here we've got plus 3, so our answer is minus 3. So x is minus 5 and x is minus 3. Okay, it really is that simple. So if this had been a minus 3, our answer would be plus 3. So we just take the number, change the sign. Okay. So if we do the next one, we have two brackets, and we know it's x, and we know it's x. So what times what will give me 12, that if I add them will give me 7. Well, I know 2 6s give me 12, but 6 plus 2 gives me 8. Close but no cigar. But I do know that 3 times 4 gives me 12, and 3 plus 4 gives me 7. So I know they're my numbers. So in one bracket I write plus 3. In the other bracket I write plus 4. Now they may just ask you to factorise, but let's say they say factorise and solve, and x will equal, remember, take the number, change the sign, take the number, change the sign. Job done. Okay, the next one. So we have x and we have x. So again, what times what will give me 20, that if I add them together will give me 21. Okay, 2 times 10. Well, if I add 2 and 10 I get 12, so that's no good. 4 times 5, 4 plus 5 gives me 9, so that's no good. Okay, and the reason I put this in is never forget the blindingly obvious. Once times 20 gives me 20, and 20 plus 1 gives me this 21. Okay, so never forget the blindingly obvious. So in one bracket I write 20, in the other bracket I write 1. And again, if I solve them, x equals minus 20 and x equals minus 1. Okay, so if they're all positive, really simple. Okay, now here we've got some with negatives in. Trust me, they're just as simple, okay, because I invented a way of doing this so that it makes it nice and easy. So we take two brackets, we put x in both because that will give us x squared. Now forget the signs, the minuses for the moment. So what times what will give me 15? That if I add or subtract will give me 2. Well, 5 times 3 will give me 15, and 5 minus 3 does give me this 2. But I've got to make sure I've got the right signs with the right numbers. So this is what I came up with. If I write 5 blank 3, that has to equal minus 2. So I need to know what signs I need to put in here to make this true. Well, if I have minus 5 plus 3, that will give me minus 2. So in one bracket I can write minus 5, and in the other bracket I can write plus 3. So now I've made sure that the right signs go with the right numbers, okay, on the first go. And again, if we solve this, x equals, it was minus 5, so it becomes plus 5, so we can just write 5, and then x equals plus 3, so it becomes minus 3. Okay, so if we do the next one, we have two brackets, so x and x in both brackets. Again, what times what is going to give me 24, that if I add or subtract will give me 11. Forget the minus 11, just 11. Okay, now 6 and 4, as we said before, will give me 10. That's no good. 2 and 12, that's no good. That won't get me near 11. 3 and 8 will be very useful because 8 plus 3 will give me 11. Okay, so I write 3 and 8 and I make that equal minus 11, okay, because that's what it's got to equal, minus 11. So then it's what signs go in here to make this true. Now if I have minus 3 minus 8, that will give me minus 11, because if I was £3 overdrawn and I drew out another £8, I'd be £11 overdrawn. So in one bracket x minus 3, in the other bracket x minus 8. And then just to solve them because we can, x equals was minus 3 now becomes plus 3, and x equals was minus 8 so now becomes plus 8. Okay, so we go to the final one. So we have x and x, this will give us x squared. So what times what will give me 12. Now because we've got x here, that's 1x. So we want to know what times what that if I add or subtract will give me 1. Okay, now because I know that 4 times 3 gives me 12 and 4 minus 3 gives me 1, then I know these are our numbers. So this has to equal plus 1x, so it has to equal 1. So it's just a question now of what signs do I need to put in here to make it true. So that would have to be plus 4 minus 3, because plus 4 minus 3 will give me plus 1. So in one bracket I have plus 4, and in the other bracket minus 3. So again, finally, just to prove that we can do this, x equals was plus 4 becomes minus 4, and x equals was minus 3 becomes plus 3. Bish bash bosh, job done. Okay, so if the equations are all positive, it's nice and easy. It's just what times what will give you the final number that if you add them will give you the middle number. If you've got a negative, then what times what will give you the end number that if you add or subtract will give you the middle number. Then write those two numbers down, put the signs in so that it equals, in this case, minus 2, and then whatever those numbers are you put in the brackets. Okay, and again, as I said before, it's just practice. Okay, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Okay, so I'm just going to pause there and we're going to look at equations where x squared is bigger than 1. Okay, so we have quadratics. This is called a coefficient. Okay, the number of x squareds or the number of x's. So the coefficient of x squared is 2, coefficient of x is 7. So when the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1, we do this slightly different, and I do it slightly different to the way they do it on the video. Okay, so what we do is this. If we're to factorise and solve this, first I take the 2 and I multiply it by the 3, so I get 6. So what times what will give me 6 that if I add them together will give me 7? And this is a case of the blindingly obvious. Okay, 1 times 6 gives me 6, and 1 plus 6 gives me the 7. So I know 1 and 6 are my two numbers. Now what I do is this, and this is slightly different to the video. Whatever this is, I write it without the squared, I write it in both brackets. So I write 2x in both brackets. Now in one bracket I write plus 1, in the other bracket I write plus 6. Okay, now this obviously can't be the finished bracket because 2x times 2x gives me 4x squared, not 2x squared. So one of these brackets, at least one of these brackets, can be cancelled down. Now 2 and 1 have nothing in common with one another. Okay, the only number that will go into 2 and 1 is 1, so that doesn't alter anything. So one of my finished brackets is 2x plus 1. Okay, now the other bracket, 2x plus 1, I look at the numbers and I look for the biggest number that goes into 2 and 6. Now the biggest number that goes into 2 and 6 is 2 itself. So I'm going to factorise this bracket. So 2 times x will give me 2x, and 2 times 3 will give me 6. So what I've done is I've cancelled this bracket down by factorising out the 2. So I have no interest in this 2, only this bracket. So this other bracket is the bracket that I need for my answer. Okay, so finally factorise 2x squared plus 7x plus 3 is 2x plus 1 times x plus 3. Now I can check this. 2x times x is 2x squared, so that's good, and 1 times 3 does give me 3, so I know that that's the right answer. Okay, and I do this every time. So if we take this one, and it's got a couple of minuses in it, but we don't particularly care about this. So again, 3 times 6, that gives me 18. So because we've got minuses, what times what is going to give me 18? But if I take the same numbers and add or subtract them, will give me 7. Okay, 6 and 3, no good. 9 and 2 is really useful, because 9 take away 2 gives me 7. But I want minus 7. Okay, so what signs do I need to put in here? The same as I did before. What signs do I need to put in here to give me minus 7? Well, that would have to be minus 9 plus 2. Because if I was £9 overdrawn and I added £2 to my account, I would still be £7 overdrawn. So these are my two numbers. So again, I open my two brackets and I put 3x in both. Not 3x squared, just 3x. In one bracket I'm going to put minus 9, and in the other bracket plus 2. So now what I do is I look to see, is there anything I can factorise out. Now here 3 and 9 have a connection. So the biggest number that goes into 3 and 9 is 3. So 3 times x will give me 3x, and 3 times minus 3 will give me minus 9. Now 3 and 2, there is no number that will go into 3 and 2 other than 1. So that is a finished bracket. So my two brackets, remember I have no interest in that 3, so my two brackets are 3x plus 2 and x minus 1. X minus 3. Okay, so again I can check. 3x times x is 3x squared, plus 2 times minus 3 does give me minus 6. So that's the end of that equation. Now if they said to solve this, remember we just take everything out but change the signs. So 3x will equal minus 2. So x will equal minus 2/3. And here, nice and easy, x equals plus 3 because we changed the signs, remember. Okay, and then this one, 2x equals minus 1, so x equals minus a half, and this one nice and easy, x equals minus 3. Okay, so I hope that's helped. If you've got any more problems, please do come online. Hopefully I'll be able to maintain a signal to stay online. But what we do is we multiply the first number and the last number together, then what times what will give us this middle number. Okay, then if we've got negatives, do this little sum, because it's guaranteed to give you the right sign with the right number. Okay, because it does matter. Then what we do is, are there any brackets that we can factorize out? Sometimes it will be just one, sometimes it will be both. Okay, and then I always do this double check. 3x times x gives me 3x squared, and plus 2 times minus 3 gives me minus 6. Because then I can walk away from the equation and go, yeah, that's it, I know I've got that right. Okay, so I hope that's helped. As I say, any problems, come online and I can give you a few more to do, just so that you get the feel. Okay, so well done, you're doing great. Just carry on and just keep practicing.